The mic is hot. The tea even hotter. This is Live on Air. Okay, hi gorgeous, hello handsome. Okay, let's quickly talk about last week. I know some of you were expecting an episode and obviously did not get that. I did initially plan on recording and uploading an episode every Tuesday. However, my schedule just does not allow me to do that anymore. So instead, I've resorted to uploading every other week, which is every other Tuesday. And that's just what works for me at the moment. And obviously that might change when my schedule frees up a little bit, but that is what we are working with today. With that being said, I do want to talk about what I've been seeing on the internet lately, which is like a lot of red flags conversation, right? Especially when it pertains to dating, where you hear a lot of, oh, you know, he's a red flag, or she has no boundaries, or he's emotionally unavailable. My favorite one is he's a narcissist. And you also get the occasional, oh yeah, no, she just needed too much attention. And honestly, I'll be honest, I absolutely love a good red flag conversation. But I was also thinking we're very good at identifying them in other people, right? Like really, really good. Where you meet somebody once and suddenly you're able to figure them out as a whole. You're able to diagnose the entire personality. But you know, it's great. Like I'm not, you know, disregarding that. It's great. But how often do we actually stop and go, okay, wait, what are my red flags? Right? Because I'm sure I'm not the only person who has looked at somebody else's behavior and thought, oh gosh, absolutely not. Only to later realize, oh, I do that too, right? So today we're flipping it, right? We're talking about the red flags in ourselves. And don't worry, I'm not coming out pretending I have my life together. I really don't. I am a participant just like you. I am fully participating. I am immersing myself in this whole entire conversation and in this entire episode. So let's get right into it. But actually, before we get right into it, I do apologize for my voice. I don't know what's happening. It's just a little bit raspy today. It's doing all sorts of things. So again, I do apologize for that. So let's just quickly get into this. Red flag number 1. You keep negotiating your own boundaries. I actually think a lot of us like the idea of boundaries more than we actually like enforcing them. So we'll say something like, oh, I don't answer calls after 8. I don't do last minute plans. I need my alone time. I don't tolerate people speaking to me like that. Okay, that is great. I love that. And then somebody comes along, texting you and saying, Liv, can I ask you something? And you're like, yeah, of course. And then they call you and you answer. Girl, you literally just said you don't answer calls after 8. And I'm not saying there aren't exceptions. Obviously, like if you text me or you call me, it's an emergency, you know, your house on fire, whatever, I'm probably going to answer. But also, why are you calling me if your house is on fire? I can't do anything for you. I can console you. Actually, I suck at that clearly, but I honestly cannot do, I can't do anything for you. Call the right people. But nonetheless, I'm not talking about, you know, all these little emergencies or whatever, but I'm talking about those little negotiations we have with ourselves, right? You said no, and then somebody pushed, and instead of standing on business, instead of standing on your word, you started explaining why maybe your no isn't actually a no. And then later you irritated because, oh, you know, people don't respect my boundaries. Okay, baby, but do you? Because if I tell you my bedtime is 8 p.m. and you call me at 8:15 and I answer, you've just learned something. You've just learned that my boundary has office hours and customer service is available after hours, honestly. So I'm not saying become rigid. I am saying stop making your boundaries so easy to negotiate. Red flag number 2. You're indecisive, even though you know exactly what you want. This one, oh my gosh. I know people like this, and I may or may not be people, right? You know you want the red dress, you pick the red dress, you've been thinking about the red dress all day long, and then you send a picture to your friend, you know, asking them, oh, what do you think? And she's like, I actually prefer the blue one. And now you're standing in your room holding the red dress like, okay, wait, maybe it's not. No, baby, you wanted the red dress. Wear the red dress. And look, I'm not against asking people for their opinions, right? That's always beneficial every now and then. But if I don't know something, I'm going to ask somebody who does. right? And there's a point where you're not asking for advice anymore. You're asking people to make the decision for you, and I think that's a trust issue, not necessarily a lack of knowledge. You know what you want, you just don't trust yourself enough to go with it, and that's dangerous because you can't build a life around constantly putting everybody around you, right? At some point, you need to be able to say, "This is what I want," and go for it. And if I get it wrong, okay, that's cool. I got it wrong. Welcome to being a human being. But you don't need a whole entire committee meeting every single time you need to choose something. Just wear the damn dress that you want. Red flag number 3, you're too dependent on other people. And I'm not talking about needing people. We are all human beings. We need people. That's literally how we were designed. I'm talking about those things you don't do because you don't have someone to do them with. And I really hate it because I had an entire conversation with somebody about it just the other day, right? So you want to go to a restaurant and you're just wondering, okay, but who's coming? And there's a concert you want to attend and you're just again thinking, okay, well, who's going to go with me? Or, there's a trip you've been meaning to take and you're again thinking, who's going to tag along? Or you want to go sit somewhere nice and have a drink and you just don't have anybody to go with and you're just wondering, oh my gosh, is anybody going to be available? And if nobody's available, you just decide you're not going to go. And this is actually something, like I said, I am working on myself. I remember a couple of months ago, actually, I was praying and asking God to give me the courage to actually just start going out alone. And then a few weeks later, a friend asked me to go for drinks at this place I'd actually been, meaning to go to. So I'm like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. It's like, cool. I get ready. I decide I'm going to grab an Uber day because again, we'll be drinking. And I'm waiting for her. And then she decides to cancel on me. Now, granted, she had a valid reason, bless her soul, but I'm already there, right? And my first thought was essentially like, I am pretty annoyed. I'm just gonna go home. And then I thought, okay, but like, why? I'm already here. So I stayed. Like, I got my drinks, I sat down, I got another drink, and honestly, I had a really, really good time. Obviously, there was some unwanted attention, which was kind of annoying, but the bartender was actually so lovely. He'd check in every now and then when like something happened or somebody approached me in a very funny way. And anyways, I appreciated that. God bless his soul. And then I just left there thinking, wait a damn minute, I actually enjoyed myself. I had a vibe. I talked to a lot of people and I met a lot of people and it was amazing. And I would 100% do it again. So if you've been waiting for somebody else to accompany you because before you do something you've been wanting to do, just go and do it, honestly. But obviously be smart about it, be safe. I'm not, telling you to go wandering around strange places at, at midnight. Don't do that. Don't do that. But try something. And if you struggle with this, especially if anxiety is involved, please tell me what works for you. Because it's still nonetheless something that I am also struggling with and still figuring out. Red flag number 4, you call yourself nice, but you're actually just a people pleaser. Ooh, okay, this one is kind of sneaky because being nice is lovely. I like nice people, but are you really nice or are you just terrified of disappointing people? Right, because those are not like, they're not one and the same. They really are not. You don't want to go, like you tell yourself you don't want to go to some place, right? You're invited, you don't want to go, but then you're telling people, yeah, it's fine, I'll just come. You don't have money. Your bank account is like, you have your last $100 and yet you say, oh no, it's okay, I'll pay. You're exhausted and you're like, yeah, it's fine, I'm still gonna help, let me know when, I'll just be there. You don't agree with something and yet you're like, yeah, no, it's fine, that's okay. And then you go home angry. Why does everybody always expect so much from me? Because you've been telling everybody, expect this from me, right? And then the resentment starts. You didn't want to do it. You didn't say that you didn't want to do it. They didn't know. Now you're angry at them for not reading your mind. And I think a lot of people who pride themselves on being the nice one eventually reach a point where they're exhausted from constantly abandoning themselves to keep everybody else comfortable, right? You are allowed to disappoint people. I think I've said that before. right? You are allowed to disappoint people. Someone being disappointed with your decision doesn't automatically mean you made the wrong decision. It just means that you decided to stand on what is important to you, and that was your decision. Red flag number 5, and with this I'm really losing my voice. Red flag number 5, you overshare. Now, I love when people are open. I really, really do. I think vulnerability is a beautiful thing. But babe, not everybody needs the documentary. You meet someone, they're nice, you're having a great conversation, you feel comfortable, and then suddenly you're telling them things that your best friend doesn't even know. Your family history, your relationship history, your insecurities, your trauma, your plans, your business ideas, your financial situation, everything. And then you're like, wow, I feel like I can really trust this person. You met on Tuesday. You met them on Tuesday. Feeling comfortable with somebody is not the same thing as knowing them. And I think we need to get better at letting people really earn access. You don't have to tell somebody your entire life story just before, or rather just because, they were kind to you. And I'm not saying become this cold, mysterious person who answers every question with, that's just for me to know. No, but there are layers to you, right? Just like an onion, really. So let people discover you. Let people discover these layers of you. Mystery is actually kind of nice. I think mystery is really, really sexy. You don't need to give everybody, in my opinion, ammo and then hope they have good intentions. Nobody in this world has good intentions, even if they're an amazing person. I feel like when push comes to shove, you kind of see people's real colors, and ammo will be used against you, the ones you openly gave. Red flag number 6, you love a little too much drama. Now listen, my love, I'm not going to sit here and act like we don't enjoy gossip. We do. We ladies kind of do. Right? If somebody says, girl, I'm already seated. Okay, I am already seated and I am paying attention. But there's a difference between enjoying a little tea and needing drama, right? When you're checking people's pages so you see what they're doing, when you're keeping up with people you claim you don't care about, when you need to know who said what, who slept with who unfollowed who broke up with who got back together, and then there's no drama happening. So you start investigating. Go read a book. Go do something, go learn something. Because why do you want to be all up in people's businesses, and if there's no drama you start creating it? Why? And I actually think this is one of those, things worth asking about yourself. Why are you, what are you getting from the drama? Really, what are you getting from the drama? Because your own life can be quiet, and that's uncomfortable. And why is it uncomfortable for you? Because you're so used to chaos. So when everything is peaceful, you start looking for something. And honestly, peace isn't boring. Peace is amazing. You just haven't made peace with peace, right? You're just so used to the noise. And that is something you should work on. Stop being all up in people's businesses and let people be. Red flag number 7. You're secretly competing with your friends. This one is uncomfortable because you can love somebody and still be jealous of them. You really, really can. Whether intentionally or unintentionally. Again, I do apologize. I am really losing my voice here. But anyways, you can be genuinely happy for someone and still have that little voice in your head go, damn, when is it going to be my turn, right? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, that thought makes you a terrible person. It doesn't. We're human, but what are you doing with it? Are you letting it motivate you, or are you starting to resent the person? Because that's where it gets really, really ugly, right? You see your friend's new job or her relationship, her body, her house, her business, whatever it is. And instead of saying, oh my gosh, that is beautiful, I want that too, you get the, I don't know. Yeah, it's not even that great. And suddenly you're looking for reasons as to why she doesn't deserve it. And that's a problem, because her success isn't taking yours away. Her beauty isn't making you uglier. Her relationship isn't proof that you'll never have one. And honestly, learning how to genuinely celebrate people while you're still, waiting for your own blessing, that is great character. So work on it. Red flag number 8. You never seem to be the problem. This one is for the people who have a story for everything, where every ex is crazy, every friend betrayed you, every boss was jealous, every family member misunderstood you, every situation somehow happened to you. And I'm not saying people don't hurt you, people obviously do, like they absolutely do. I've had situations where somebody was just wrong, period, cool. But if you have 47 stories and you're innocent in every single one of them, girl, at some point you need to investigate. Honestly, all the investigating you're doing in other people's businesses, do it in your own. And I'm not saying you need to blame yourself for things people did to you. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is you need to ask, what was my part? Did I ignore the signs? Did I react badly? Did I communicate? Did I contribute to this? Did I, stay somewhere I should have left? Did I hurt somebody too? Because, yeah, sure, they hurt me, but did I hurt them too? You don't have to make yourself the villain, but you also don't need to make yourself the victim every single time. Red flag number 9, you cannot apologize without defending yourself. Wow. I really hate it when somebody says, well, I'm sorry, but no. No. I don't even want to hear the but. I really don't. You can explain yourself later. Sometimes you just need to say, I was wrong. That's it. That's the full apology, because an apology isn't supposed to be, oh, I'm sorry I did this, but you made me. And if you don't, if you hadn't done X, Y, and Z, then I wouldn't have done ABC. Honestly, that's a closing argument. Not an apology. That is a closing argument. And listen, you can absolutely have context. Great. But first take responsibility for what you did, right? Just say, I shouldn't have spoken to you like that. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Simple. Literally simple. Your ego will survive. Honestly. The last red flag that I have for today, which is number 10, is you love talking about the person you're going to become. Oof. Okay, that's fine. This one is dangerous because I love planning. I love a good plan. I love a vision. I love talking about what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start my business. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to read. I'm going to save. I'm going to learn this, that, and the third. I'm going to become this and that. And then suddenly it's 3 months later and you're still announcing the transformation, right? At some point, we need evidence. Not another announcement, not another Pinterest board, not another, Monday I'm 100% starting. No, and not another video about how you're entering a new era either. No, that's an interesting combination. Era either. Why can I not say that combination of words? Era either. Anyways, cool. No, just, we don't need that. You just need to go and do it, right? And I think there's something addictive about talking about the person you're going to become, because in your imagination, everything is perfect, right? You've got the body, you've got the money, you've got the business, you've got the discipline, you've got the apartment, you've got the wardrobe, everything. And then real life comes along and says, okay, wake up at 6. And you're like, absolutely not, right? And that's where the real transformation happens, not in the vision boards, not in the announcements, in the boring stuff, doing what you said you would do. Especially when nobody's watching, especially when you don't feel like it and when it's not glamorous. So maybe the red flag in this scenario isn't necessarily that you're dreaming too big. Maybe you're just spending too much time imagining the life and not enough time participating in it. Now, and in all honesty, as I was thinking about this and just listing all these red flags down, I was also thinking about it in a biblical perspective. And honestly, I I had to link it to different aspects of the Bible, or to different books in the Bible, right? The first one is from Matthew 7, where literally Jesus talks about this, right? He says, before you start worrying about the speck in somebody else's eye, take the plank out of your own. And I love this imagery because some of us are walking around with an entire construction project sticking out our faces and pointing out at someone else's tiny little speck. Like, babe, we have scaffolding, right? And we're giving relationship advice. Maybe let's sort ourselves out first. And what's interesting is that this isn't even a new human problem. If we go all the way back to Genesis, where dearest Adam and Eve ate the fruit, God comes looking for Adam and asks him, where are you? Right now, obviously God knew exactly where Adam was. Obviously he wasn't like playing hide and seek or anything like that, but the question wasn't really about, in my opinion, like this, the question wasn't really about Adam's physical location. It was more, Adam, where are you? Right? Like, look at yourself, face what you've done. And what does Adam do instead? Isn't I heard you, I was afraid, and I hid. And then he goes, oh yeah, the woman you gave me, like, sir, we weren't even there for 5 minutes. You were not in that garden for like 5 minutes. But anyways, and when Eve gets her turn, she also goes and say, oh, well, the serpent deceived me. So Adam blames Eve, and then Eve blames the serpent. And apparently it wasn't me is one of humanity's oldest traditions, right? But the thing is, it's so much easier to point outward. It's easier to say, oh, he did this, or she said that, or they hurt me, they're toxic, they're the problem. But God is asking Adam, where are you? That is such a powerful question. Like, not, oh, where's Eve, or where's the serpent? But he literally asked, where are you, right? What are you doing? What are you contributing? What are you avoiding? What do you need to take responsibility for? And maybe that's the question we also need to ask ourselves a little bit more often. Not, oh, what's wrong with everybody else, but where am I? Where am I in this situation? Where am I in my relationships? Where am I in my life? Because you might discover that you've been waiting for everybody else to change while, refusing to look at the one person who actually have control, who you actually have control over, and that is you. And I think that's really what I wanted this episode to really, really be about. Not beating yourself up, not necessarily calling ourselves toxic, not, turning self-awareness into another reason to hate ourselves, but just being honest enough to look into the mirror and say, okay, I see it. I see, my shortcomings, and then actually do something about it. So there we have it, 10 red flags. And I'm sure there are plenty more, but I don't want this to turn into a, wow, I have 10 horrible things wrong with me and I'm just a horrible person. No, that's honestly not the point. The point is being able to look at yourself and go, I do that and I want to change that and actually do something about it, because it's very easy to have, standards for other people. We know exactly what we want in a partner, exactly what we want in our friends, exactly what behavior we're tolerating and what we're not tolerating, etc., etc. But what are you bringing to the table, right? Would you want to date you? Would you want to be friends with you? Would you want to work with you? Would you want to live with you? And I don't mean this in some weird, are you perfect way. I'm talking about the things you really know you need to work on, right? The boundary you keep breaking, the decision you keep outsourcing, the gossip you keep feeding, the people pleasing, the oversharing, the jealousy, the excuses, the lack of accountability, the version of yourself you keep talking about but haven't actually started becoming. We all have something, so tell me, what's your red flag? And don't give me the cute answer. Don't give me the one that made you go, that's actually me. No. And if you are working on it, tell me that too. I want to know what you're trying to unlearn and what you are trying to learn over what you're trying to learn. But I don't know why I said that in such a weird way. Essentially, when you remove a bad habit, you have to replace it with a good habit. That's exactly what I want to know. What are you unlearning and what are you replacing it with? Anyway, that's enough self-reflection and me slurring of my words for one day. I'm gonna go drink some water and fix my voice. I hope you do too. So go drink some water, mind your business, respect your boundaries, and for the love of God, wear the damn red dress if you wanted the red dress. Okay, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye, coaches. Bye, handsome. Same time, same place. Until then, let's keep it cute.